Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time we're looking into something I know a lot of you are interested in,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence. Actually, I know you're interested in it because you sent over this IBN article about it,
Oh, yeah.
and it's pretty extensive.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It is a big one. It goes from, like, the history of AI
Mm-hmm.
all the way to, like, cutting-edge stuff like generative AI.
Right.
I have to admit, I mean, some of it had my head spinning a little bit,
Sure.
but I think we can break it down together and pull out some of the most interesting parts.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm ready.
So right away, the article defines what AI is. And I think this is a really good starting point. It says that AI is technology enabling computers to simulate human abilities like learning, problem solving, and even creativity.
Okay.
And I think what really got me is that it's not just about computers being good at math anymore. It's about them thinking more like us.
That's right. That's the core of it, right? This idea of machines being able to mimic human intelligence. And the interesting thing is, AI isn't just some far-off concept anymore.
Right.
Think about, like, how you unlock your phone with facial recognition, or how you ask your smart speaker to play music.
Oh, yeah.
That's all AI working behind the scenes.
It's true. It really is. I mean, it's like magic, almost. But, of course, it's not magic. It's all based on, like, these super complex algorithms and data.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of complex, the article spends a lot of time on the different types of AI, like machine learning and deep learning, to be honest. I got a little lost in the weeds there. Could you maybe help me make sense of it all?
Yeah, definitely. So think about it this way. Machine learning is all about these algorithms that learn from data to make predictions. Like, it's basically teaching a computer to recognize patterns.
Yep.
Like, imagine you're trying to teach a computer to recognize different types of flowers. You'd feed it a bunch of pictures of flowers
Right.
and label them with their names.
And the algorithm would go through all these pictures and
Yeah.
start to see, like, the little differences in shapes and colors and patterns. And eventually, it would learn to tell a rose from a tulip.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's like the more data you feed it,
Yeah.
the smarter it gets.
Exactly. That's the general idea. And then that's where deep learning comes in. It's kind of like taking machine learning to the next level,
Okay.
but using what are called artificial neural networks,
Okay.
which are algorithms that are inspired by,
Yeah.
you know, the structure of the human brain.
Wow.
These networks, they have all these different layers that process information,
Mhm.
and it allows them to learn even more complex patterns.
So that's how it gets so smart.
Exactly.
The article mentioned deep learning being used to create things like art or music.
Yes.
And that just blows my mind. How does that even work?
So that's where we get into generative AI. Imagine,
Yeah.
you give an AI a prompt, like paint a picture of a cat riding a unicorn on the moon.
Okay.
Generative AI, which uses these deep learning models called transformers,
Mm-hmm.
can actually create that image for you.
What?
Using the huge amounts of data it's been trained on,
Really?
it's kind of like having an AI artist at your beck and call.
That's amazing. But I do have a question. The article talks about these models being trained on these massive data sets. Like, how massive are we talking? Is this something that only these giant tech companies with supercomputers can do?
Well, you're right. Training these models can take a lot of resources.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about the amount of data it takes to teach an AI to understand and generate human language.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
Right.
It can be terabytes
Hmm.
or even petabytes of data.
Wow.
Thousands of these really powerful GPUs, and it can cost millions of dollars. But thankfully, things are changing.
What do you mean?
So there's been this surge in open source AI projects, like Meta's Llama 2, these projects. They make these powerful models that have already been trained available to developers.
Oh, so they don't have to start from scratch.
Exactly. So they don't have to spend all that time and money.
Wow.
It's really making generative AI more accessible.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
So smaller companies and even individuals can get involved now.
Exactly.
So it sounds like the playing field's being leveled.
It is.
And that could lead to, like, even more innovation in AI.
Right.
That's so cool.
And that's just one part of it. The article goes on to explain how these generative AI models are fine-tuned for specific tasks.
Oh, okay.
So you might have a model that's trained on this massive data set of text,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can fine-tune it to write different kinds of content,
Oh, wow.
like poems or code or scripts or musical pieces or emails, even letters.
Wow. So it can do pretty much anything.
It's really incredible how adaptable they are.
It is really incredible. So we've talked about, like, what AI is
Yeah.
and how it learns, but what can it actually do for us in the real world? Like, what are some practical applications of all this amazing technology?
Well, That's where things get really exciting. AI is already having a major impact on our world. I mean, from customer service to healthcare, even things like tackling climate change. And this is just the beginning.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I can't wait to hear more about that.
All right, let's dive in.
Okay, so we've talked about how powerful AI is and like all these problems it can solve. But can you give me like some concrete examples? Like what is it actually doing out there?
Well, like, think about the last time you had to contact customer service, like for your internet provider or something.
Ugh, don't remind me.
Well, chances are you probably talked to a chatbot. And those chatbots, they're powered by AI.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
They can answer your questions, troubleshoot problems, even schedule appointments for you.
Wow.
So it's AI making those interactions,
Yeah. Yeah.
more efficient
Okay.
and hopefully less frustrating.
Yeah, for both sides, I'm sure.
Exactly.
So it's taking on the jobs humans don't want to do, like talking to frustrated customers.
Well, it's not just about replacing humans.
Right.
In a lot of cases, AI is actually like helping humans,
Oh, okay.
making us better at our jobs.
Gotcha.
Like take healthcare, for example.
Mhm.
AI can analyze medical images like
Yeah.
X-rays and MRIs and help doctors find diseases earlier.
So they can treat them sooner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not replacing the doctor. It's giving them another tool to make better decisions.
Right. That makes sense. The article also mentions that AI can personalize marketing.
Yes.
Does that mean those ads that follow me everywhere online are going to get even smarter?
Well, in a way, yes.
Yeah.
AI is being used to look at your browsing history, your purchases, even your social media activity,
Oh, wow.
to try and predict what you're interested in.
So they can show me even more ads.
Well, the goal is to show you ads that are relevant to you,
Yeah.
to make it less annoying,
Right.
and hopefully more effective.
I guess that's the upside. Less spam, more things I might actually want. But isn't there a downside to all this data being collected?
Yeah, you're right to bring that up.
Like, what about privacy?
Data privacy is super important when it comes to AI. Companies need to be upfront about how they're using our data
Right.
and give us control over our own information.
That's a good point.
And as AI keeps developing, we need to keep talking about the ethical side of things.
Yeah,
And make sure there are rules in place to protect our privacy.
it's like a balancing act, isn't it? We want the good stuff AI can do,
Yeah,
but we want to make sure it's not doing anything shady.
exactly.
The article also mentions AI being used to tackle climate change. Can
Yeah.
you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so AI is playing a bigger and bigger role in fighting climate change, for example. It's being used to analyze satellite images,
Oh, wow.
to track things like deforestation, or monitor glaciers that are melting, even predict extreme weather events.
Wow.
All that data helps scientists understand climate change better
Yeah.
and figure out ways to deal with it.
That's amazing. It really seems like AI can be used for almost anything.
Right.
But I'm curious, are there any limits to what it can do? The article talks about weak AI versus strong AI. Can you explain that?
Sure. So weak AI is sometimes called narrow AI, and that's what we have today. It's AI that's really good at specific tasks, like playing chess or recognizing faces or translating languages,
Right.
but it can't think for itself or understand the world the way humans do.
Gotcha.
Then there's strong AI, which is also called artificial general intelligence.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of an AI that's as smart as a human, an AI that can learn and adapt and solve problems in all sorts of areas.
So like the robots we see in movies?
Kinda, yeah.
Are we anywhere close to that?
Not yet. Strong AI is still just a theory.
Okay.
We're still in the early stages of AI, and there's a lot we need to figure out
Right.
before we get to that level.
But even with weak AI, we've made incredible progress.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The article actually has this cool timeline of all the big milestones in AI.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's amazing to see how far we've come
Yeah.
since the early days of AI research. Can we take a quick look back?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
So it all started back in the 1950s.
Yeah.
With guys like Alan Turing.
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
He was trying to answer this big question: can machines think?
That's a good question.
Right. And he came up with this thing called the Turing test,
Yes.
which was a way to see if a machine could act like a human.
I remember reading about that. It's where you have a person talking to both a machine and another person.
Right.
And if they can't tell which one's the machine,
Yeah.
then the machine passes the test,
Exactly.
as any AI ever passed.
That's a tough one. People have been arguing about the Turing test for years.
Really?
Yeah, some say certain AIs have already passed. Others say true thinking machines are still way off.
Oh, I see.
It's a really interesting question about what it means to be intelligent.
It really is.
Mm.
What were some other big moments in AI history?
Well, in 1956, a bunch of researchers got together at Dartmouth College
Okay.
for a workshop, and that's considered the birthplace of AI as a field,
Oh, wow. So that's where it all started.
pretty much.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they even came up with the term artificial intelligence there
Oh, wow.
and set the stage for all the research and discoveries that came after.
I'm curious about IBM's role in all this. I mean, this article's from IBM.
Yeah, they've been a big player in AI research for decades.
I see.
Like back in 1997, their Deep Blue computer beat Garry Kasparov,
The chess champion?
the world chess
Yeah,
champion.
I remember that.
It was a huge deal.
It was.
It showed how powerful AI could be,
Yeah.
even in something as complex as chess.
And then there was Watson.
Right, the AI that won on Jeopardy.
2011.
Yeah, that was another turning point.
It was.
Watson showed that AI could understand and answer questions in natural language.
Right, like how we talk.
Exactly.
It also made people more aware of AI.
Yeah, it was all over the news. People were excited, but also a little worried about what it could mean for the future.
So from those early days of just thinking about AI to all these real-world applications we have now, AI has come such a long way.
It really has.
So where do we go from here? What does the future hold for AI?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's hard to predict the future of AI.
Right.
There are so many possibilities.
Right.
But we can definitely talk about some of the trends we're seeing
Okay.
and try to imagine what might be coming next.
Let's do it. So we've talked about like the past and the present of AI,
Yeah.
but what about the future? I'm excited,
Yeah.
but also a little nervous about what's to come.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, AI is moving so fast, it's hard to know exactly what will happen.
Right.
But we can look at some of the things happening now
Okay.
and maybe make some guesses about what the future might look like.
Okay. Cool.
So, for example, the article talks about this idea of multimodal AI.
Multimodal. What is that?
Well, it refers to AI systems that can process information from different sources,
Okay.
like text, images,
Mm.
sound, even data from sensors.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. It means that AI can understand the world in a much more complex way, kind of like how humans do.
So it's like a superhero AI with multiple powers.
Huh! That's a good way to put it.
Can you give me an example of how that would work in real life?
Sure. Imagine a virtual assistant that could understand not just your voice commands, but also your facial expressions
Oh, wow.
and your body language.
Really?
Yeah, it could tell if you're getting frustrated.
Like if I'm yelling at my smart speaker because it doesn't understand me.
Exactly.
Okay, that would be amazing.
It could also see if you're excited or happy and respond accordingly.
It would be like talking to a real person.
Exactly.
So it seems like the possibilities are endless.
They really are.
What other advancements are we likely to see?
Well, one area that's really interesting is the combination of AI and robotics.
Oh, like robots getting smarter?
Yeah, as AI gets more advanced, we can expect to see robots that can do more things and do them more independently.
They're not just following instructions,
Yeah,
but actually learning and adapting to new situations.
exactly.
Wow.
Imagine robots working with humans in factories.
Okay.
And the robots that can go into dangerous places.
Like disaster areas.
Yeah, and help rescue people.
That's incredible. It sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, doesn't it?
But as AI and robotics become more powerful,
Mm.
we need to be careful, right? Like,
Yeah.
what about the risks?
Absolutely. As we create these powerful AI systems, we have to think about the ethical implications.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
want to make sure AI is used for good
Right.
and not for bad.
So things like bias in algorithms
Yeah.
or people losing their jobs to robots.
Those are all important considerations.
And what about AI being used for harmful purposes?
That's another big concern.
So who's responsible for making sure AI is used ethically?
That's a tough question. It's not just one person or organization.
Right?
It's a shared responsibility.
Bam.
Governments need to be involved. Tech companies, researchers, and society as a whole.
We all need to work together.
Exactly. We need to talk openly and honestly about the potential benefits and risks of AI and come up with rules and
We
guidelines.
make sure it's used responsibly.
Yeah,
It's definitely a topic we need to keep talking about. So
Mhm.
this has been a really amazing deep dive into AI. Thank you for sending over that IBM article. It was super helpful.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
I have to admit, I started this feeling a bit overwhelmed by AI,
I understand.
but now I feel like I have a much better grasp of it.
That's great.
And I'm actually pretty optimistic about the future.
Me too. AI has so much potential to change the world for the better.
It really does, as long as we use it wisely.
That's the key.
So for our listener,
Yeah.
if you're interested in learning more, That IBM article actually has some great resources at the end.
It does.
There are links to their AI solutions, consulting services, even
Yeah.
training opportunities.
Yeah, it's a great starting point.
So if you want to dive deeper into AI, definitely check those out.
And remember, this is just the beginning of the AI journey.
Right.
Things are changing all the time.
Yeah.
So keep learning, and who knows what amazing things we'll see in the future.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into artificial intelligence. Until next time, keep exploring.